okay, so I've let it sort of simmer overnight and I have more thoughts. So this is my Scream spoiler review part 2. So some people were complaining that there were spoilers, even though my title clearly said spoilers. So spoilers, I don't know how much more obvious I can be. So anyway, look, I feel like one of the things that I keep thinking about that really let me down in this movie was the fact that it didn't feel like the stakes were too high when it came to everybody surviving. Kirby, Gale, somehow Chad survived getting stabbed 1,000,000 times. Well, not 1,000,000, obviously. Nobody can stab anybody 1,000,000 times. Well, if anybody could, it would be Sam, because we see that if she really committed to going dark side, she could definitely give her father a run for his money. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later in my theories that I have. But anyway, look, Chad got stabbed way too many times to logically survive, and it sort of felt like him surviving was the fact that they seemed to be invested in having some sort of romance with him and Tara, and it felt like they were trying to sort of put a happy ending together. And this is a horror movie, not a rom-com. Somebody needs to die, and obviously the new characters do die, but they always felt like cannon fodder to me. And Sam's boyfriend, he lives, and love interests are usually screwed in these movies. Somehow he survives. And yeah, it just felt very safe, like they were playing it safe, having everybody who was important survive. And look, okay, so one thing that sort of bothered me is how Ethan was bullied so much in this movie. Like, obviously he turns out to be Ghostface, so I shouldn't be feeling pity for him, but they were so mean to him, and to a lesser extent Sam's boyfriend, but he wasn't somebody who could obviously as easily be bullied as this poor kid Ethan, who, like, for most of the movie he seemed like sweet, nice guy who they were giving a horrible time and being like, get away from me, Ghostface. And I thought it was funny that, like, going into this movie I knew the spoiler already that he was Ghostface. But if he wasn't Ghostface, like, they've obviously treated him horribly in the movie, and yeah, I don't know, that just rubbed me the wrong way. It made me feel less sympathetic, especially for Mindy, who was bullying him the most. And I don't know, I've just never liked Mindy's character, and in this movie, after how she treated Ethan, it was like, yeah, I like you even less now. So look, Detective Bailey, how does he get away with Kirby, who is from the FBI, looking into his past? Because obviously Kirby is a smart woman. She must have looked into Detective Bailey's past, and yet somehow she finds no connection to Richie. Like, obviously he changed his name, but still, he's been a detective for probably quite a long time, predating Scream 5 and the events that took place there. So how did nobody see that connection? And Detective Bailey obviously is giving Richie a lot of evidence from the Stab movies over the years to build his shrine, and his shrine has so much evidence in it. Like, how did he get away with that for so long? And honestly, Detective Bailey's motive just felt very uninspired. Like, obviously it always ties back to family, well, apart from Scream 5, obviously Richie and Amber, but still, I felt like it just, I don't know, it was just such a bad motive. And the fact that he said to Sam, like, killing is in your blood, like you have bad blood almost. And I'm like, do you not hear how you sound? You're so hypocritical. You literally come from a family of Ghostface killers. Anyway, so I feel like if they took it in the cult direction next time, I would be so happy. If they're setting up Scream 7 to be the cult theme, which it could happen. Look, somebody commented on my video saying they saw Jill Roberts on the train scene. Like I said previously, I'd seen Matthew Lillard on the train, and I don't know if he was just being an extra or if he was actually back as Stu. But if Jill Roberts was there too, then obviously that points to the fact that there is some sort of cult, that most likely Stu has been masterminding the events of the last few movies, probably pushing Amber and Richie and Detective Bailey and his family to doing what they did, sort of like Roman did for Billy and Stu. So that would be really, really interesting if that is what happens, if Nev comes back in Scream 7 with Jill, who was one of my all-time favourite ghost faces. That would make me so happy if that's the direction that they're going in. But right now, obviously, I've only seen the movie once, so I can't really confirm. I haven't seen Jill for myself, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But I would love it if they went in that cult direction, because it feels like something fresh and new. Obviously, we've had people being motivated by movies, by family, but the cult feels like almost like the Stab movies have just taken on a life of their own in a new way, and just sort of giving killers permission to act on their fantasies, and having a cult of them across the nation or even international. Imagine what that would do to Sydney and her mental health. What if her husband was one of them? Okay, so hear me out. I know it sounds crazy, but something about Sydney's husband has always rubbed me the wrong way. When we see him in Scream 3, he seems very eager to meet her. He's got a stack of evidence, on Sydney. Well, not evidence, but he's obviously doing an investigation into the Ghostface killing, so Sydney comes up as part of the evidence. So, I don't know. He just seems suspicious to me, so maybe they were setting him up as a character that could go either way, a loving husband or potentially a Ghostface. Imagine if he was part of the cult and Sydney finding out that she was married to Ghostface, she had kids with him. Imagine what that's going to do to her. Like, we could see her finally snap. Though I doubt they're going to go in that direction. Same with Sam. I feel like if Tara was to die in Scream 7, she could snap and embrace her dark side, because we see her starting to embrace it a little bit more in this movie. Like, she says to her therapist, the killing felt right. And we see her sister pulling her back in moments where she would go too far. So if she didn't have her sister there, potentially she could snap as well, and it could be like the good guy Ghostfaces versus the bad guy Ghostfaces. I don't know. Look, I'm just speculating here, but I don't think they'll actually go in any of those directions except potentially the cult idea. But it would be really interesting to think about. So let me know down below what theories you think could happen in Scream 7. Please comment, like, subscribe. You know the drill by now. Thanks, guys.